Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Berg. I'm actually at home today because I was having such a hard time with my Zoom at school and my phone overheating, so I just decided to do the other one at home. This is going to be lessons 1.2, and you're going to have homework in 1.2. However, I'm also going to be talking about 1.3. However, I'm just going to talk about the different types of properties in 1.3, but you really won't have homework, but I do at least want to go over it with you guys. So I do want you to see all the different types of properties, but I'm not going to have homework on that, but I do want you to work on it in your workbook, just like I'm going to be doing it in the workbook here with me. So I just want you still to do it in your workbook, even though there's not going to be any homework for 1.3. I do want to go over it so you do know at least the properties. All right, so I'm going to switch over my camera. All right, so here is lesson 1.2. Now, just keep in mind, I am using a pen. Everyone should know, don't use a pen in math. However, I do it just because it comes out better. But I will be switching back and forth between a pencil and a pen on this one because I will show you some tricks. All right, but to start, it says the diameter of the sun is 1,392,000 kilometers. To understand the distance, you need to understand the place value of each digit in this number 1,392,000. A place value chart contains periods. The number in numbers, a period is a group of 3 digits separated by commas in a multi-digit number. The millions period is left of the thousands period, and 1 million is 1,000 thousands and is written as 1 million. So here's what it's showing you. So we all know that this is the ones place. Oh, also, by the way, just to go over something that we went over yesterday, that it said a number, and every number has one decimal. If it is not given to you, if it is not written, it is always at the end of that number. So in this for this example, that will be your period, just for you to know. So after the ones is the tens and then the hundreds. Now keep in mind, it said a period is 3 digits. So ones, tens, hundreds. So then we have a comma. So then this comma means it is the thousands. So keep that in mind. So this is the 1,000s, the 10,000s, the 100,000s, just like over here, 1, 10, hundreds. This is still the same thing, but instead of it just being a 1, it's going to be 1,000s place. It's going to be the 10,000s place. It's going to be the 100,000s place. And then since those are the next 3, then the next after that is now the millions. So now it is 1 million here, then the 10 millions, then the 100 millions place. So I just want you guys to know that as well. So the place value is of the digit is 1, and the 1 is in the millions. So the value is of 1 in this number is 1 times a million, which is a million. So standard form. Standard form, you're going to see that today. It just means number form. So it just wants the actual number. So when it says write the standard form, just write the actual number. Just like here. Word form, it wants it in words. That's pretty self-explanatory. However, this is somewhat could be new to you. It is called the expanded form, and I'm going to help you out here. What you are going to be doing is you are going to first find the first digit other than 0. So if it's zeros, you don't have to write zeros in. You can just leave them alone. However, they want you to do the digits starting at the largest value and moving on down. And then if there's any zeros, then you don't have to do those. However, this is the largest value so far. So this is the 1. So they want you to first write the digit itself, which is a 1 in this case. And then you are going to times it by what place value it is in. So this is the place value. All right, so you're going to take the digit itself, then times it by its place value. Then, are you done? No, there's a 3 next. So in order to space them out, and you can't forget this, you have to put in the addition sign, because if you times them, they're going to just be a huge amount of number when you multiply these. So make sure that when you're separating each one, you are going to add to the next digit. The next digit here is a 3. And the 3, if you can't remember, is right before that that comma. So it is in the 100,000s. So you are going to write a 3 times 100,000. Now, if you can't remember what digit it is, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret. So if you put a 1 under that digit because you don't know what it is, and you add zeros under it, it will give you, until it stops, it will give you your answer. It is telling you the 3 is in the 100,000s. So you go 3 times 100,000. So then the next one, I am now going to look at the 9 because that is the next digit. But then make sure you put a plus in between. So now I'm going to add. And now the next one is a 9. And now I don't know what that is. Say you don't know what that is. Just put a 1 underneath it. And then you will see it is a 9 in the 10,000s. So you go 9 times. And then what place value is it in? It's in the 10,000s. Then plus. Oh, I got another digit. It is a 2. And say I don't know what that place value is. So I'm just going to use my trick. And I'm going to put a 1 under it. Oh, it's telling me a 1 in the thousands. Sorry, a 2 in the 1,000s place. So then you would go 2 times 1,000. And since the rest of these numbers here are zeros, I do not need to write them. So that is how you do expanded form. Now, I do want to talk about word form real quick. Word form, a lot of kids get this very, very mixed up, and it's truly not difficult. Just take your time. So I see that there is 1 comma, and then I got my second. Now remember, the first comma that I come to, coming from the ones place, is the thousands. So I got 2 of them. So the second one is the millions. So what I have my students do is just put their fingers over everything except for that comma and whatever's before it. So in this case, it is a 1, and I know that comma means million. So I'm going to write that 1 million. And then you can put like a comma to say whatever's next. Now here's the next thing. Now you're going to look at the next 3 numbers. And how do you say 392 if you were to read that number out loud? Well, you should be saying it is 392. So here's the thing. A lot of people want to say 392, and that is wrong. And why is it wrong? because the word and, I'm going to write that over here. The word and actually means a decimal. And there should be only one and in a word form. And that is it. There should not be several ands. The and means a decimal. And that is not a decimal between the 3 and the 9. So we cannot say that. So just say 392. And then there's the next comma. So it would be 392, and then that comma means 1,000. And then there is nothing after it, so we are done saying the word value. So a lot of times when there's like a 92, they do put a dash in between to just say that they're connected. You can do that. I'm really not going to take off if you don't do it. So it's up to you whether you just want to say 92 or if you want to put a dash between them saying that they're connected. That is solely up to you. Okay, so here is the next number. Now I'm not going to say it out loud because that is exactly what we need to go ahead and fill out. So like I said, to look at that first comma and everything before it, take it in little chunks of 3. So how would I say 582 in a real actual number? You should be saying, oh, that is 582. All right, but now I have this comma. So what is that? There's only one comma. So what does one comma starting out at the back mean? It means thousands. So you are just going to write 582, and this is 1,000. Nope. Okay, and then after, how do I say 030? Now remember, it's a 3-digit number. So the 3 is actually the second one over, which is the 10. So what is 3 tens? If you can't see it that way, 3 tens is 30. And also, if you want to use my little thing as well, you could always find that 1. So it's actually a 3 in the tens place. So that is 30. So you're just going to write it 30. Now, I know some of you are, including myself, are not the best at, making sure the words are spelled perfectly. And as long as you're close, that is fine. So I will give it to you as long as you're close. So don't worry about spelling. Okay, next. The next one is expanded form. So we are going to start at the largest digit of this number, which is the 5. Now, if you want to use my strategy of putting a 1 under it and adding zeros after, it is going to tell you what place it is in. So 5 times 100,000. So you are done with that one, okay? Then plus the next number that I need to write down is going to be the 8. So that is my next digit. So I got to put that down. 8 and then times, okay, the place value. And say I don't know what it is, I'm going to put a 1 under it and read out that number. It is telling me it is 10,000. So that is my next number. And then, of course, after I'm done with that digit, I'm going to add. And then the next number that is not a 0 is a 2. So the 2, and then if I don't know what that digit is again, I'm going to put a 1 under it. And that is telling me it is a 2 in the thousands. So 2 times 1,000 plus. Now, since this one is a 0, I will not have to write that one. Don't write that one. Now, the next digit that I really have to write down is the 3. So I'm going to make sure I say plus, and then this is my next one, which is a 3 in what place? It would be in the tens. So you would do 3 times 10. And that is it. So that is how you do the word form and the expanded form. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next question. It says the average distance from Jupiter to the sun is 483,600,000 miles. Okay, write this number to show the distance in miles. Okay, so they want you to write the number. Okay, so we are going to read this, but we are going to write the number here. So let's first look at the first thing that it tells us. It says 483. Let's just stop right there. How do I write 483? That's all I want right now. So you should be saying, oh, 483, that's easy. It is a 4, an 8, and a 3. So that is saying 483. Now, it says million. Remember, if it says million, how many places away is that from the ones place? So that is actually 2 comma periods. So keep in mind, if I had 2 comma periods, it would be, I don't know this yet, but I know that that's the thousand. So I'm not done yet. I like to put little blanks. This way I don't forget that I need these to be filled out. So this is saying 483 million so far. Now let's read the rest of that. It says 600,000 miles. Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. How do we write 600, but yet we are in the thousands still? So the thousands, remember, is the second period. So we need to have this part right here filled out and saying it is 600. So how do I write 600? I write it as 600. Now, it doesn't say anything else. So since it doesn't say anything else and there is nothing else there, I still have to put numbers there, but I have to say that it is nothing. So in order to fill the rest of that out, I'm just going to put zeros at the end of that. And that is how you do that first page. All right, now that we know that, we are now going to move on to the next part. So this one says Canada's land area is about 4 million square miles, and Iceland has a land area of about 40,000 square miles. Compare the two areas. All right, so what they wanted you to do here is you could have done, all right, it is 4 million is Canada's. So I am going to my little commas. I like to use the commas so it doesn't mess me up. Versus 40,000. So here's my 1,000. So I want just 40,000. All right. So now what you are going to do is you're going to count the number of the whole number place value positions. So you're going to look and say, all right, 4 million has how many more whole number place values than 40,000? So going from 40,000 to get to here, how many place values is that? That is 1 and 2. So remember from last lesson, each one of these is worth times 10. So now we have another 1 times 10. So it's not just 1, it's actually 2 times 10s. So it is 2 more whole number place values. So therefore, if you look at that, what is 10 times 10? You should be saying, all right, 2 place values, 10 times 10. Oh, that's 100. So therefore, 4 million is 100 times as much as 40,000. So Canada's estimated land area is how many times as much as Iceland's? Well, Canada is larger by 100 times than Iceland's. All right, this next part, I am not doing it because nobody says this number as 4 10,000s. I don't want you guys getting used to saying that because that is not really the correct way of saying that. So I'm going to take that out. We are not doing that. All right, next. Now we're going to go over here. So it says complete the place value chart to find the value of each digit. So here is our number up here. And you can see, okay, 7,333,820. So here we go. They're saying the 7 is in the 1 millions. So what is 7 times 1 million? So 1 million 7 times. That comes out to be 7 million. So I want you just to fill out that. And remember, in between each of these is a plus, so don't forget about that. The next digit is a 3, but it's actually in what place? It is in the 100,000. So we are going to make 100,000. So what is 3 times 100,000? You all should be saying, well, that should be 300,000. This one is completely done. The only difference is they did not put in their pluses, so keep that in mind. And on the state test, they could write it out like this and make you fill in things, or they could write it out like this. So I want you to know both because you don't know which one will be given to you. And they could put both of them in there or in different ones. So it's very important that you know these both. So the next one, the only thing that is missing is this, and it's in the thousands. Well, remember in the beginning of this lesson, the first digit should be always your digit. And then this is the place value. So what is missing is the 3. Okay, this one, nothing is blank. But then they want to know 8 times 100 would be worth what? It should be 800. And then this one, we're going to add here. And then this one is what digit is it? It is a 2 times whatever the place value is, and it is just simply in the tens. So that is that one. Now, they didn't have to do this, but they ended up putting it in here just to end it, I'm sure. But normally they would just not even put that in there, but that's just how you would end it. The 0 would be in the ones place. So that is how you do that. So I do want you to know both ways, just in case of it giving it to you both ways. All right, this next one says you are going to write the value of the underlying digit. Well, remember when I told you that there was that secret? You can put a 1 under it and add zeros until you get to the end. Put in any commas if they are there. So it is saying the 4 is in the thousands place. So it wants to know what the value of that. What is 4,000 worth? It is worth 4,000. This one is 1, and if you need to see that, a 1 in the hundreds. So what is 100 worth? It is worth 100. This one is a 9, and I say I don't know what place that is. You can always use my little cheat that I use. A 9 in the 10,000s. So what is 9 10,000s worth? It is worth 90,000. Or the other thing you could have done is just kept this 9 and then just add zeros after it. That's just another way, another quick way to remember what value it is for each one. Here, if you want to use that same one, you could use, the 1 and keep going. Or you can just simply put a 3 there because they want to know the value of that one. So it's still going to be a 3 there. and then you just add on zeros. And that is another quick way. So that is saying it is worth 300 million. So that is how you do that. This one says, write the numbers in two other forms. Well, they gave us the expanded form. So if you can't remember what the other two forms are, they are all right here. So they gave us the expanded form, so we need to give them the standard and the word. So we can say standard, and then this one is going to be the word form. Now, in order to do the word form, I think it's so much easier if you look at the number itself first. So let's figure out the actual number. So the first digit is going to be an 8 in the hundred thousands place. So be very careful. So I'm going to put an 8 in the hundred thousands. So remember, this is the hundred thousands. And then I'm just going to put dashes until I am done. Okay, now I'm just going to have to fill in the rest of these holes. The 4 is going to be in the thousands, the 1,000. So if you can't remember where the 1,000s is, this is what is here as well to help you. The 1 is 2 more away or right before that comma. So that is the 1,000s, and in that 1,000s place, which is right here, it needs to be a digit 4. And the last thing is a 6 in the ones place. Well, remember the ones place is the very first one here before the decimal. There was a decimal, remember it would be at the end. So the 6 needs to be in the ones place. But, oh no, I have all these missing places. So what should I put in there? I should actually be putting in zeros as placeholders, and that is my number. So now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to write the word for this. So how do I say the first period set of numbers before that comma? It is 804. How do I say that number? Well, you would say that 804. 804. Keep in mind, don't say 804 because then I have to mark it wrong. So 804, and then this comma means 1,000. So 804, and I don't want to go into the next problem, so I'm going to put it in over here. 800,000, comma, then 006. How do I say that part? Well, 006 is just 6. So how do I say this number? 804,006. And that is it. All right, now this one, they gave us the word form. Now the other two is standard and then the expanded. So I am going to do the standard first. I think finding the standard would be so much easier here. And then we can do the expanded. Okay, so let's do the first part. The first part says just a 7 million. 7 million. So therefore, it just needs to be a 7 in the 1 millionths place. Remember, if it is easier, I like to use this trick as well of just putting in little dashes so I know I still need to have these numbers filled out. So 7 million so far. The next one is 20,000. Okay, well, here is an issue. I know that 20 looks like this. However, it needs to be a 3-digit number and still say 20. Here's the issue. A lot of kids say, oh, that's easy. You just put a 0 after it. Well, is that now saying 20 still? No, that is now changed to 200. So that is not going to work. So in order to say 20 and still have a 3-digit number, I would just put a 0 here in the equation. I am going to say 0 to 0. That is now saying 20,000. Then the next part is just 32. Same issue. It's just saying 32, but it needs to be a 3-digit number. So in order to say 32 and still be a 3-digit number, I need to have a 0 before it. And that is how you do it. Okay, now we got to do the expanded form. So for those of you who need help on that, the first thing is, remember, you do the digit first. So in this case, the first digit is a 7. So 7. Then you got to times it by whatever place value it is. We'll say I don't know what that is. So if you put a 1 and you add on zeros until you get to the end, it will help you. It is saying 1 million. So that's all you need to do. Say 7 times 1 million. Then when we move to the next digit, don't forget that we have to say plus next. Now this is a 0. So since this is a 0, I do not need to write it down, but I do need to write down the 2. So the 2 is the next digit. So 2, and now I got to say what place value is that in. So I'm going to come over and erase, and then I'm going to put a 1 under it. It is 10,000. So this is a 2 in the 10,000s. Then I end it, and then I say plus. Don't forget to say plus. Then that is a 0, so that's not going to work. And then another 0, so that won't work. So then the next digit is a 3. So just to save time, I'm just going to erase just that one. And the 3 is in the 10s. So now I'm going to say 3 times 10 is the next digit. And then plus a 2 is in the 1s. So 2 times 1. Okay, now this part right here, from 9 to 13, they want you to sit there and try it on your own. So please pause the video after I'm done saying this. They want you to write this in 2 other forms. Well, since they're both in standard already, the other 2 forms would be Word and expanded. So go ahead and pause the video and find the value of all of these, and then do Word and expanded, Word form and expanded form for both of these. So I want you to try that on your own before you move on to the next part. And then come back and I will show you the answers that you should have had. All right, so if you did do what I had asked, this is what you should have had. Just to save time, I decided just to show you my other one. So you should have had 40 million for 8. 9 should have been 400,000. The 10 should be 90,000. The 4 should have been 400 million. Now, next, I'm so sorry, my dog. So anyway, the next one, you should have said the word. The word would have been 345 and then 1,000. The expanded form should have been the 3 first. The 3 is times 100,000 plus the 4 times 10,000 plus the 5 times 1,000. Do not forget the pluses in between each digit. The next one, and you can see this is another strategy that I was doing right here. is I was checking them off as I went. So this one was 119 million, and then there's nothing, and then there's just a 3. So it'd be 119 million, 3. That's it. Here, this is where I was checking off. The first one I'm going to write down is the 1, and it's in the 100 millions. Plus, then I checked it off. Then the 1 in the 10 millions. Then I checked that one off. Plus the 9 in the 1 millions. Check it off. Then plus 3 times 1. So that is what you do there. All right, so now moving on. Now it says consider the numbers of this number and this number. And they said, what is the difference between the values of the digit 4? So we're just going to be looking at the 4s in each number. Well, this one is a 4 in the millions. So 4 million. I'm sorry, we have neighbors that walk by and he wants to play, which is not going to happen. So that is why he's barking. So here is 4 in the millions, and then this 4 is in the 1000s. So they want to know the difference between these. Well, you can say, well, which one is the larger one? You guys should be saying this top one is larger. So you could say, to start off, 4 million is, and then we'll say blank times larger. Times larger than 4,000. All right, so let's figure out how many times larger. Well, how many places away is it? It is 1, 2, 3 places. So remember, each one is worth 10 times 10. So this one is times 10, and then we get another times 10. So what is 10 times 10? You should be saying 100, and then times another 10. Well, another fast way to do that is just see how many zeros are at the end, which is 3, and then cross those out. And then you're left with 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So the other quick way is also seeing how many zeros and then just putting in. So this is actually saying 1,000 times greater. So when it is 3 places, so you could say it's 3 places larger. So 3 places larger, it means 1,000 times larger. So that is what you are going to say on that. All right, moving on to the next thing. It says, which planet is about 10 times as far as Earth it is from the sun? So the planet is about 10 times as far as Earth is from the sun. All right, well, over here it says the average distance from the sun. So we got to find Earth. Earth is this, and it says 10 times farther. So we're going to just write that number out that it gave us. But it said 10 times larger. So remember, this is going back from what we were talking about in 1.1. 10 times larger. If we want it 10 times larger, should we be making it bigger or smaller? You guys should be saying making it bigger. So in order to make a number bigger, we are going to push it out 1 place. And now when we go and start looking at it from here, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. So what one of these is close to this number? This is now 1,496,000. So the one that looks the closest is here, which is Saturn. So what planet is closest? It is Saturn. All right, next, which planet is about 1/10? Remember, 1/10 means divide by 10 of the distance of Uranus from the sun. So we're going to write down that one. So it is 2,800,000. I shouldn't have wrote any commas because it's going to change. Remember, here's the decimal is always at the end if it is not given to you. And now you are going to do a 10th, which is dividing by 10, making it smaller by a place. So if I want to make it smaller, should I push it out or should I push it in? To make it smaller, I would have to push it in one place. So when I do that, it will be 1, 2, 3, comma. So now it is 287,000. So which one is close to 287,000? It would be right here. It would be Mars. So it is Mars. So here is the next thing. It says, what is the error? And they will do this to you as well. So they'll give you something like this. They could give you something like this on the state test. So it's very important that you are reading these numbers and knowing how to read them. Matt wrote the number 4,305,762 as this. Describe and correct his error. All right, so there is an issue with this number. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. It says 4 million. Okay, so far it's saying 4 million. It's not wrong so far. 305,000. 305,000. Is that saying 305,000? No, that is saying 350,000. Then let's see if there's anything else. 762. 762. Yes, that is right. So the part that was wrong is the 3. He put 350 instead of 305. That was his error. So now we're going to correct his error. So we're going to put a 4 million. Now this one should be 305, comma, then 762. So that is what we needed to put there. All right, next. This one says, explain how you know that the value of the 5 in these are not the same. Well, you can simply just look at this 5. What is that 5 worth? It is worth 50,000, and this 5 is worth 500. So they are not the same because the 50,000 is 2 times 2 place values greater, which is 10 times 10. So therefore, that is 10 times 10 is 100 times greater. So you can say 50,000 is 2 places larger. And therefore, it is 100 times larger. So that is that. All right, now I want you to try to do this one on your own. So I do want you to pause it and try this on your own to see if you can get it right. Okay, so now that you unpaused it, I will have you look here to see what ones were true. Now the thing is, it said mark all that apply. This is what a lot of people end up doing wrong. They don't mark all that apply. They only do one because they think only there's going to be one answer. And this happens on the state test too. They will say mark all that apply. So it's a very big possibility that you can have more than one answer on the state test as well. So you got to really watch it. All right, so the 4 is in the 100,000s. Yes, that is true. Now this is where it went wrong. Why is that? Because it says in the hundreds place is a 50. No, it is not a 50. It is just a 5. So it should have been just a 5 times 100, not 50 times 100. And then the 6 should be in the tens and the 2 is in the ones. So that was true, but the thing that made it wrong was right here. Now this one says 400,562, and that is true. This one is 4 in the 100,000s, true, plus 5 times 100, true, plus 6 is in the tens, true, plus 2 times 1 because it's in the ones, and that is true. So these two should have been your right answer. The next one, it says 400, comma. Yeah, it is 400, but they forgot to say what place it's in. It is not just 400, comma, it is 400,000. So they forgot the thousand here, then 562. So that one is not right because they did not say that part. So if you were doing this correctly, it should have been A and B. Next. Now this is your homework page that you will be doing. I will be doing some of them with you. So you will just work with me on the ones that I'm going to work with you, and then I'm going to circle the ones that I want for homework. Again, if you want to put it on a Google Doc, you can make up a Google Doc and just send it to me with the answers to the ones that I circle, or you could send a picture, or you can have your parents drop it off in the Dropbox. So it is one of the two that you could do. So here, it just wants the value of that digit, not it doesn't just want to know the place value, it wants to know the actual value itself. So in this one, you will be just keeping 8 and then making everything zeros after it. And that is just a quick way to do that one. So that one is 80 million. So and that is your answer to that. Now you will have 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. You are going to have 3, 4, 7, and 8 for homework there. So that is what you will be having. Then real quick, I am going to be doing this with you. It wants to know the digit. It is a 7, and put zeros after it. So that is saying it should be worth 7 million. This one should be a 4, and then add zeros. That should be worth 40,000. Now, the next one says you got to write these numbers in 2 other forms. Well, I'm going to tell you right now the 2 other forms are expanded and word form. So please don't forget that. And you will be doing number 9. So again, it says both. So make sure you say, oh, sorry, I'm going to say word form first and then expanded. It doesn't matter which one you do first and which one you do second. Just make sure you do them both. All right, but I am going to do this one together with you. So I'm going to say W for word and EX for expanded. So word. How do I say that first group of numbers before that comma. It is 100. So I can say that. And then just one comma, if you need to go back to your notes, is just 1,000. So 100,000 comma. And then how do I say 203? You should be saying, oh, that is 203. And then you're just going to write that out. 203. Three. Okay, sorry, I had to put it on top of it. The next one is expanded. Well, remember, expanded means like the long way of saying it. Is how I remember it. So I look at the first digit that is not a 0, which is a 1, times then what place value it's in. Say I don't remember. So again, in that digit, just put a 1 under it and then add on zeros. And that is 100 thousandths place. Then I'm going to add to the next digit. Well, the next two are 0, so I don't need to write that down. So the next digit I need to write down is a 2. And say I don't know what place value it is, that is fine. Just put a 1 under that 2 and add on zeros. It is saying in the hundreds. So 2 times 100 plus, and then the 3 is in the ones place. So 3 times 1, and that is the end. Next, you got 11 for homework. Now this one says they want it in word form, so please take your time. Please do them one section at a time, and just go slow. It is not supposed to go fast. By the way, we are not going to do 13, so you can cross that out. We are going to do 12 together real fast. Now it says in 2008, the population of 10 to 14-year-olds in the US were this many people. They want us to write that number in expanded form. So expanded just means like the long way, just like up here. So the first digit that we have to write is a 2. So 2 times, then say I don't know what that one is, just use my trick, putting a 1 under that digit if you don't know. And add on zeros and commas, and that is your answer. It's in the 10 millions. So 10 million. Okay, and then plus, and then I always like to check it off so I know that I did it. The next one is a 0, so I don't have to write that. The next one after that is a 4, and it is in the 100,000s. So 4 times 100,000 plus, then the next digit I'm going to write is an 8 in the 10,000s now. So 8 times 10,000 plus, then I go to the next one. A 4 is next, and it is actually in the thousands, the 1,000. So I do 4 times 1,000 plus, and then you can check that one off. The 1, if you need help on that, is if you put a 1 under here, that would be the 100ths. So a 1 is the digit, and it is in the hundreds. So I'm just going to write that. Oh, I can't fit in my plus sign. Again, don't forget your pluses in between each digit. And then 6 is the next digit times, what place is that one in? It is in the tenths. Plus a 3 is in the ones, and that is it. So that is how you do that. Okay, then the next page, real fast. You are going to have all 6 of these. Now, why am I doing all 6 of these? Because this is from this lesson that we just did. But these are all 4th grade standards. If you see a 4 up here, it means they're 4th grade. So you can give it a try and see if you remember this from 4th grade. I do just want to see if you know these answers, so you can try it out, see how well you do. I will probably not be grading these for like a grade because it's not fair that I am giving you this and you may not remember it from 4th grade, but I do at least want you to try it to see if you can get it. So I probably won't be grading these, but I do want to know whether you have a good understanding of these yet or not. So please try them and put them on your homework as well. All right, now I'm going to quickly go into 1.3. Again, I'm only going to do a very quick little lesson on this because this is not, you don't need to do what it's asking you to do, but I do want you to at least know what they are. So there is something called the commutative property of addition. What it is you're just switching the order of the numbers. And the sum means the answer to an addition problem stays the same. So 12 plus 7, and then what they did over here is all they did is just switched it around and said 7 plus 12. They're the same thing as what it's trying to say. The only thing that was wrong, what was different, was that they just switched the order of the numbers. But if you look, what is 12 plus 7? It is 19, and this is 19. So it is the same thing. It's just the commutative property just means you can switch the order of an addition problem. And there is also a commutative property of multiplication because you can switch the order of this and the product still stays the same. So 4 times 9 is the same as 9 times 4. So what is 4 times 9? Well, that is 36. And if you switch it around, it's not going to change anything. It is 36 as well. The thing is, there is no commutative property in subtraction or division. So keep that in mind. That is why there is no such thing as a commutative property of subtraction or division, because 7 minus 3 equals 4. But if you switch these around, it is not 4. It is actually -4, but we're really not going to go into that this year. So I just want you to know it is not the same thing. So that is why there's no such thing as a commutative property of subtraction or division. Now, the other thing that they are saying you can do is called the associative property of addition. All it is saying that you can group the add-ins differently and still come up with the same number as well. So just kind of like up here, but it's saying that you could group 8 and 14 over here and do this first, find the answer to this first, and then add it, and it will still be the same thing. So 8 plus 14 is 22, plus 5 is 27. So this is 27. But here, the only thing that they did here was they now grouped these two. So they just grouped different ones. But let's see if it comes out to be the same thing. This is 13 plus 14, which if you added that would be 27 as well. So it's just saying that the associative property just says you can group them differently as long as they're all the same for addition. So they're all addition signs in between. You can group them differently and still get the same number. And you can do the same. There is an associative property of multiplication because you could just group them differently and it will still come out to be the same thing. Now, how I remember this one is identity property just means that it comes out to be identical. So identity property of addition just means the number comes out to be identical. That's just how I remember. And how that is if you had a number like 13. 13 plus what in addition will keep your number the same and identical and be 13 as well. Well, when it comes to the identity property of addition, you would have to add your number by 0 so that it comes out to be the same. However, there is an identity property of multiplication as well. The thing to make it identical, so say that there was a number 4, like it is right here, 4 times what will give you still a 4 at the end. And you should say, oh, that's 4 times 1. So you would just multiply that number by 1 to get the same number. Here you would just add 0 to keep that number. So that is all you are doing. All right, now I'm just going to do this very quickly because you will not be needing to do this, but I do want you to at least to know the different types. So right here, they want to know what is missing. They had a 24 plus 28 plus 26, but what did they do? Now that it is 28 plus blank plus 26. So what is missing out of here? You should have said, oh, 24 is missing, which is true. Now, what property was just used to switch it around? Now remember, it did not group anything here. All it did was just group the number around, and we're talking about addition. So this is, which one just changes the order, it is commutative. So we use the commutative property of addition. So we're just going to write commutative. All right, now what they did here, and this is what I don't like, they're just telling you a different way to add, you know, and putting parentheses around. So now what they just did is now they just decided to group differently. So what digit is missing here? It is the 26. And since they are grouping now, what property when it comes to addition allows you to group them? And you should say, oh, grouping is associative. So they're using the associative right here. And that's basically all you need to know. You don't really need to go into how to add that and stuff. Now, there is one more thing. This is called the distributive property. And this is actually going to be very big, especially next year. So I do want you guys to know this, so you guys are kind of ahead of the game. This is when you multiply a sum by the number in the same as multiplying each add-in by that number and then adding the products, which is very, very wordy. I'm just going to help you out here. How I teach this is say that like what is here, say this is like a donut, okay? And I'm going to, and each one of these numbers inside is going to be given, this donut is going to be given to each kid that are going to be representing my numbers. So this donut 5 times is going to go to kid number 7. And this donut also has to go to kid number 9. So if you rewrite it, it is saying 5 times 7. And then you put in that sign just switches over, plus, then you do the second part, which is the 5 is then going to go to the 9, so 5 times 9. So if you ended up doing this, you will see that it comes out to be the same thing. If you did 9 plus 7, that is 16, then times 5. When you figure that answer out, it will come out to be the same answer as 35 plus 45. So that would be 80. So then this one would have been 80 if you sat there and did the math on it. So I'm just letting you know that this is the distributive property. All it is you're just whatever's on the outside, which is always a number and then times, has to be distributed given to each number inside, and then whatever that sign is right here needs to be in between them, and that is how you do that. So this is another thing. What they're saying as well is that this is not just a 5 and a 9. Yes, we know the 9 is in the ones place, but the 5 is in the tens place. So that is worth 5 times 10. So what is 5 tens worth? It is 50. So they just wanted you to break it up to say the same thing as 50 plus 9. Okay, now it is the distributive property that we're going to be doing. Remember what I was just saying? Everything on the outside of the parenthesis needs to go to every number on the inside. That's what the distributive property is. Again, this is not going to be a big thing this year. It is going to be a much greater thing next year. So they're just kind of front loading you and getting you ready for 6th grade on this. So what is missing here? Well, it said blank times 50. Well, what we're missing is the 8 times 50 plus, remember they brought down that plus. Now the 8 times goes to what? That would be to the 9 is missing. So if you did this very fast, I'm going to do this very quickly. If you did 8 times 50, that would be 400, and 8 times 9 is 72. So your answer would come out to be 472 in the long run. I don't like this other way that they are showing you. I don't believe you're ever going to see that in 6th grade. So it's just pointless to show you that right now. The next one, they're saying, okay, 23 times what will still give you that 23? Remember, we're talking about multiplication. So what is going to multiply by 23 to keep it itself? You should have said, I should multiply it by 1. And what property is that? That is the identity property. So you could just write that. You can say of multiplication if you want. I would just to go quick, I'll just say of times, just to say a quick way. All right, now this thing, what is going on? Look here, all that they did, what is it missing? It is missing the 47. So what property does that? It is the one that changes around the order, which is, if you need to go back to the previous one, it is, you can look at the next page that we just went over to go back to it, but it is the commutative property of multiplication. So I'm just going to do it real quick and say commutative. But it is the commutative of multiplication. All right, now there are just a couple more I want to go over. Now this one is where it's just no need for you to do this. It's saying use the properties to find the sum. They want you to like branch it out, change up the order. They want you to group it, you know, and it's just no need for that. You don't need to do that. You could just simply go, you know, whatever way you want to figure out the answer to that. So I'm not going to have you do that, but I do want to come down to this one. Remember, here's the 9 times, here's a plus. So that should be an indication that it is not an associative or commutative of multiplication or addition, because there are 2 separate ones, 2 separate things here. So when there are 2 separate signs, the only one that has 2 separate signs is the distributive. So this should be a hint to you that this is the distributive property. So I'm just going to write that down. This is the distributive property because that's what it says. It wants you to complete the equation, then tell which property it is. So we'll just say, just to be quick, just say distributive. Now, what is the missing number? Now remember, when in the distributive, you want to give the donut to each kid in the class. So in this case, what is missing? The donut 9 times went to 7, is what it's saying. But the 9 times did not go to the 30. So what is missing is the 30. Then here it has 0 plus blank is going to give you 47. So what needs to be here? 0 plus blank will give you 47 as an answer. Oh, you should have said, it should have been a 47. And what property is this? Well, when you are adding by 0 and you're coming out to be the same answer, this is the identity property of addition. And just to make it quick, I'll just put the addition sign. Okay, so that is what you are to be doing there. Now, we're just going to do just these 3 real fast together. This says complete the equation again and tell what property they used. So look at what is going on. So looks like that they grouped here, and then they're changing the grouping. So what is missing here? Should have said the 19. And if you need to go back to the previous part to figure out what property it is, the one that changes up the groupings is the associative. So that is the associative, and we're talking about addition. So you can just say addition or associative, and then of addition, just to make this quick. Now look here, what is the missing number here? You should have said, 14 is missing. And what happened here, all they did here was they just switched the numbers around. So therefore, it was the, if you need to come back, what one just switches the order of the numbers would be the commutative. So this is the commutative, and we are talking about addition again. So commutative of addition. So now, show how you can use the distributive property to rewrite this. All right, so what they want you to do is now put this in its original format like this. So how can I rewrite this? So if you look, what is being distributed to both of these numbers? What are both the same here? So you should have saw the same thing that can be pulled out of both is the 32 times. So I'm going to pull that part out first. Then I know I have an addition sign in between them. And what is missing is the 6 and the 4. So that is all they just wanted you to rewrite it that way. All right, and if you want to try this, you can try and see if you can get them right, which one is saying the commutative property of multiplication, which one is the associative, and which one is the identity. So you can pause this and try it on your own. So please pause it. All right, so now that you should have paused it and tried it, the one, remember, commutative just means you're switching the order of the numbers, the order of the numbers. So the one that is being switched with the numbers is that one. Now this one is 3 times 1 and 3 times 1. Remember, times 1, they're coming out to be identical when you're timesing something by that 1. So that was probably going to be a hard one. A lot of people would probably have switched these up and said they could be commutative too, which is not true. I mean, it is, you're not wrong. However, they wanted you to say that that was actually the identity property, because this one certainly is not the identity property, because it is not multiplying by 1. So right here, remember the product of any number times 1 is that same number. So that's what they wanted you to say. And then this one, all they did was they grouped it differently, which would have been the associative. So that is what I wanted you to say there. Now, I'm just going to do 3 more. Again, this is not going to be a homework page that I need. I just simply want you to do this with me so that you know the products, the properties. I don't like how they're showing you and making you do different things to find the answer. It is not necessary. In 5th grade math, I think it's always easier just to do the fastest way and move on. You do not need to pull out different properties to know how to add, but I do want you to know them. So what is missing here? So I got the 8 times 10. So then times what is missing should be the 3. Now, what property is it? Well, you should be looking and saying, oh, they grouped these, and then they just changed up the grouping of multiplication. So which one changes up the grouping of multiplication? Is the associative property. So that is what I want you to write down. And then you could say of multiplication if you would like. All right, so what is the missing digit here? Well, you can just simply see that they switched the order of the numbers. So therefore 16 is missing here. And what is that property? That property is the commutative, because they just switched around the order of the numbers. Commutative of addition. All right, so that is all I wanted you to do on there. And the last one that we are going to be doing is this, number 1 on the back. So to find 19 plus, in parentheses, 11 plus 37, Lenny added 19 and 11. Then after that, then he added 37 plus to the sum. So what property did he use? All right, so it's saying right here what he did. It's saying first thing that he did was he took a 19 plus 11 and did that first. Now, how do I say that I did that first? I'm going to tell you a secret that you will be needing. When you say that you are doing that first, what you should be doing is you should be putting them in parentheses. When they are in parentheses, that means that is being done first before anything else. So you should have the parentheses around that. Then he added the 37. So what property is this? If it was this to this, well, the only thing that changed was the grouping symbols again. So that would have been the associative property of addition. So associative of addition. So those are the only ones that I truly wanted you to go over. Also, you should be able to do this one together real fast. What is the value of this? This is something that we just did on the previous lesson. So you should say, what is the value of just that digit? You should have said, well, the 8 is worth 80,000. So that one is 80,000. All right, so those are the last 2 lessons for this week. I do want you to do lesson 1.3 in your workbook so that you have some type of an understanding of these, but I did not have you do the homework because it was asking way too much. That is not necessary. And then next week we will be doing more than likely 1.4, 1.5, 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6. So I'm just letting you know that's going to be next week. However, since I only did
technically I went over 3, even though you're only truly doing only 2 for homework. The fourth thing I want you to do is do a lesson on iReady. So I'll be writing that in as well on your books. So I will see you guys again next week on these recordings. Goodbye. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will, please let me know if you're not understanding these, and I can figure out some type of a meeting, Zoom meeting for you and your, you on Wednesdays. So just let me know and email me. My email is Kristen, Kristen .berg, B-E-R-G, at Geneva Schools, with an S at the end of schools.org. And that is how you can contact me and tell me that you are not understanding something here and I can help you. But I know this is a very different way to do this year, and we're going to work on it together. So if you need any help, please contact me. Or you could leave a message on my school phone, which is 440-466-4831, and it is extension 3103, extension 3103. And I can get a hold of you and figure out some type of a Zoom meeting as well. I hope this helps. If, again, please don't feel bad if you're not understanding it. I know it's a very weird way of doing it. Just let me know if you don't understand. Okay. All right. I will see you next week. Bye, guys.